It's like a roller coaster today, day 2. I've got emotions of crying, seeing how many times you would leave me because you have a small bladder.
It's very true.
It's gonna be a fun day.
It's gonna be a challenge today. We've got
gonna be
about 2 hours to see how long I can hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the chat would like to take a couple of bets, we'll be sure to do that, and I'm sure that Val will take those bets in and see who wins.
That sounds great. Thank you, Val, for moderating.
Yes.
Welcome everybody that's showing up. You can see a lot of great names here, great faces.
We have Eric in the chat. We have Sarah. We have Mark again. We had dinner with Mark last night. Good guy. Sam, Alex, Shauna.
We've got Dario. Hi, Dario.
Dario.
Mark. We saw Mark last night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Dario. Yeah.
Yep.
I know who Dario is. So we appreciate you guys coming out for day 2. If you guys missed from yesterday, we are actually doing a smart home app. We did yesterday for a little bit of a recap. We did illustrations. We talked a little about some design foundational concepts and certain things that go in with that. We did Creative Cloud libraries, right? Transferred a lot of files back and forth to each other.
Right.
And we finished out with letting you guys know that we would have our, oh goodness gracious, our wireframing done. So we'll have our wireframing done, and today we will actually be jumping into it and doing our animate, a little bit of animation, a little bit of illustrations, right? You're gonna jump into icons and show us a little bit of that.
Right.
And then what's some other things that you're gonna be showing us? Anything at all?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna show you a little bit about setting up what I did to set up my grid for my icons, and then a quick tutorial on how to get those icons into Creative Cloud libraries so that they'll zing on over to Adobe XD.
That's right.
That way Chris can use those icons and make this UI.
I like how you use the word zing. To knock out some of our housekeeping items, let's jump into that really quick. First thing we have is chat and win. Today, we're actually gonna be doing a chat and win at 30 minutes in. You'll see the timer down at the bottom, about 15 minutes in. And the winner will win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. And then 30 minutes before we're ending the show, we'll be doing a portfolio review where me and Rogie will be judging you. Very, very nice. Judging you very nice.
Critiquing with love towards improvement, not just critical.
Yeah, but we want to see them. So put your submissions in there. Put your submissions in, and we'll go ahead and get that taken care of, and we'll look at it. 30 minutes before, we'll be going into space.
Ooh.
Literally.
Oh, that's right.
Literally.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Zubair, I see why does Rogie look so angry? I'm working on it. Got a little bit of RBF going on, but I'll get it.
A little tired, bedhead. A little bedhead.
I'll get it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into it. I think today you want to start on your screen first, or should we start on mine?
Yeah, so let's just jump into icons, because it's going to be a short session. One thing I like to talk about icons, I think I talked about it a little bit yesterday, which is icons are a very different art form in the sense that they're not an expression of art per se. The whole goal of an icon is to communicate a concept or idea to someone with a simple glance, with a glyph, a little piece of imagery.
Right.
And so it's so important to think, when you think of icons, think of the little instructions on the back of your clothing that tell you, water gets hot or this and that. I think about subway signs and things like that, bathroom signs. Icons are supposed to be recognizable by a very wide group of people. So hopefully you're shooting at a sort of internationalization. I'll talk about that with one of my icons, which will probably not be internationalized, but we'll go ahead and go forward with it, but knowing that it's probably not the best choice. But the first thing that I do when I'm thinking about icons, let's say like a light bulb. I have an idea of what a light bulb is in my head, but unfortunately, it's probably not the idea that everybody has. So the first thing I do is I get out of my head and say okay, I'm not the only person here that this matters for, so I'll just type in light bulb. And I'll get an idea of, this is not a sort of exhaustive test, but I'm just trying to get an idea of what common light bulbs look like. And it looks like we've got a lot that look like this. A lot of the bulbs sort of follow this format. And in fact, it looks like light bulb's gonna be pretty easy to make an icon for because there's just so many bulbs that look so similar. Now, granted, we've got like these crazy hex bulbs or whatever this is, some artisanal sort of bulb, these Edison bulbs, but for the most part, it seems like we'll be doing pretty good. And we'll know what a shape can look like. Another really handy resource is the Noun project, which has tons and tons of icons. I don't necessarily, you can use this for buying and purchasing icon sets, which I think is a great call if you want to. But I use this for research. So let's say I want to say light bulb and see like, well, what icons have existed for light bulb? And it looks like, once again, we've got a lot of shapes that share a lot of similar attributes. This one seems like a really ideal candidate for making icons. So just to let you know, we're not gonna waste too much time on this. I went ahead and yesterday ran through a ton of these, kind of processed a lot of them, and I created all of these little icons. But what we're gonna do today is recreate just one or two of these. And what these will hopefully represent as we look top down is light bulb, an outlet, thermostat, lock, a window. I'm hoping that this looks like smoke, and I'm hoping that this looks like water, a door, a shield, sort of the idea of being secure, and then like not secure. Or insecure if you're like me. So if you go to Preferences, General, and we're going to Guides and Grid, and we want to set up here. There's no right way to do this, but I think that right now I'm working on sort of a 32 by 32 box or a 64 by 64 box. So I'm gonna have my grid line set to every 32 pixels, and I'll do subdivisions every 16. What subdivisions will do for you is help you to snap to those grids. To turn it on, I'm gonna command, I think it's apostrophe, but you can also go to View, I believe it's Show Grid. There you go, and there's a little shortcut for it. So as we get in closer, you can see here, I actually move these off the grid. If I'm actually, just a second here, I must have slidden these down, I didn't mean to. I do want to show how they're kind of fitting into this grid. All right, so let me help.
These are exceptional icons.
Well,
which, by the way, I disappeared off the screen, and I apologize. I had gone somewhere and come back, but.
Oh, potty break?
No.
Oh.
It's a mystery.
So just to help you, I'll put a little box over this little transparent box, and you can see that each one of these, the goal here is to kind of fill out the space, but not go to the edges of it. So there's a little bit of an art form to these in the sense that you want them to all feel like they're occupying a very sort of an equal space. But once again, you have various shapes you're working with, so it's a little bit hard to tame this.
Right.
Some are very tall, some are very wide. And so there's a lot of sort of like eye judging that you're doing where you're just sort of glancing back and forth and back and forth. But I've gone ahead and I have built out all these icons. I put them on this grid, they're snapped on this grid. If I show you, right now what I'm working with is a 4 pixel stroke weight. Once again, similarly to the 2s, the 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, these kinds of grids, I'm just trying to work with, I don't want to get like half pixels.
Right, divisible by 2 is always great.
Right, so I want to work with 2 pixel strokes or 4 pixel strokes or 1 or whatever. So anyways, we've got all these icons, and I went ahead and done all of this ahead of time. That way we're not going to waste our time working on all this. But I went ahead and put them all into their own shared Creative Cloud library group. So you can see here icons. We're gonna go ahead and rebuild this fun little guy. So I'm just gonna delete it because I believe the second iteration will be better than the first.
Goodbye plug.
See you later, little fella. Yeah. Okay, so over here I'm gonna type in outlet.
Be emotional.
Also, this gives me a chance to do my favorite thing, which is to put faces in things. So I want to put some smileys in things. Okay, so right off the bat.
Tell us about the Noun project. Is this your go-to?
I use this, I use Google Images. Sometimes there's iconfinder.net, I'll go there as well.
Okay.
But the idea is getting out of my head and trying to get into the mindset of like, what do other people think that a outlet looks like?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is where we're gonna go. This is where iconography isn't gonna be the greatest for us because we have a lot of different looking outlets. We got this one. We've got sort of like over-unders. We've got these ones that are sort of probably in Europe. We've got all kinds. I mean, we've all probably seen those outlet kits where it's just like dongles on dongles on dongles. So notice that it's going to be a rough one to try to figure out. This is a case where it might be good to create an icon per sort of region and then have the app be aware in this region, we're going to serve up this different resource because this is what outlets look like for people in France. For now, just for the speed of it, we're going to go ahead and ignore all that, and we're just going to make one that looks like
that middle outlet, second row, fourth in. That looks like an unhappy outlet.
Oh, he looks
yeah,
he looks
very unhappy
bad
outlet.
night, like a real bad night.
A real bad night.
So I'm just going to slam this in here just as a visual reference. And I'm going to show you just a few tricks. One thing that you'll notice that I rely heavily on is the corner radius widget. So I will use that for almost anything. So what we're going to do is create an outlet icon and a shield icon, and then we're going to pass back to Chris. But what I'd like to do is maybe, let's see if I can just do this with one, maybe two. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a box here, and I'm going to center it right here. If I hold shift though, I can create a perfect square, which I'm going to do. The other thing is if I use the eyedropper tool on my, notice that I have no fill and no stroke selected. If I hit I for eyedropper and just hit, there we go, just sample that stroke, it'll give me exactly the same stroke that I'm working with.
Oh, that's very quick.
Yep, so I do this a lot. So there we are, we're already at 4 pixels. It's sampled the color and everything. All right, so next thing we notice that there's a little bit of a bend.
So someone in chat just said that you kind of look like Silent Bob. Do you get that often?
That's a big one, and Jack Black is another big one.
Really?
And
Really?
I'm thankful to you all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Brian
What an
said
honor.
that. He goes, wow, I just
What an honor.
realized Rogie looks like Silent Bob. I was like, oh.
A Silent Bob,
Now
that's
I
right.
see it.
Okay, so one thing, if I do this and I just round it off, this isn't really what an outlet looks like. An outlet kind of has a flare out here. There's a lot of ways that I could composite this thing. So one way that I could approach this is just to say, okay, why don't I use a circle and then
You're gonna cut it, aren't you?
That's right, I'm gonna cut it. So then, you know, and this isn't the method that I'm going to use just because I don't like the shape as much, but what I would do is go into Pathfinder and I would do an intersect. So I'm looking for the commonality, like your Venn diagram thing. And that's actually not too bad. That's a pretty cool looking icon. And I might actually end up choosing that, but the other way that, that you can do these things would be to take this square.
So Brian wants to know why we're not creating these icons in XD. The reason is because of the collaboration status. A lot of stuff can be created inside of XD, but Illustrator is a very powerful tool, and we want to make sure that we use that power to create certain things. So we're actually going to be using it inside of Illustrator, and then he'll be using Creative Cloud Library to transfer them to me. You can kind of see in his icons here, he has tons of icons that are actually there on the right-hand side in his library. Those are the ones that he's messed around with and transferred over to me before, so that gives us the ability to do that. So it's really nice, work hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think that your question isn't wrong at all. So it really depends on the style. Illustrator does very well with sort of complex vector manipulations, and I'll give you a quick sample of that based on your question. But in this case, just to go with you on this one, Brian, I would probably create the icons in XD. But let's just say icons don't have to necessarily be a mono weight, like a one width stroke. So let's say maybe this icon, we wanted to change it a bit and I would use the stroke width tool. What if this is what it looked like? What if this was a little bit more of the flavor that we were looking for? All of a sudden, like, we might need to use something like Illustrator because it has much more powerful tools under the hood.
Yep.
So, good question. All right. So what I'm gonna do is just create these simple shapes, basically just blue out these corners a little bit, and then I'm gonna go out one more, and then one more here.
Keep in mind that Chat and Win is actually gonna be happening in about 15 minutes, and we'll keep you guys posted on that.
Yep, great. And I think I'll be ready for that. So if you see here, I grab these little corners, I grab these little border radius widgets, and if you select them, you can also see that it's up here too. So if you don't wanna just drag and look at this sort of in an analog way, you can always just come up here and just type it in. So I'm feeling like this could be a little bit more down, like a little bit more squat. And cool. You can also do multiple corners at the same time. So let's say I've selected all of them. I can now do all of them together. So maybe I want to do that one first, round the top off, then like that. And that's sort of how I arrived at this shape. The shape that I had before that I deleted. All right, let's give it some eyes or sockets. He's a cute little boy. I don't know if y'all do this, but I definitely talk to my
I talk to my design all the time.
Oh, I talk to them all the time.
Sometimes when I'm in coffee shops or wherever it is that I'm working on, people will stare at me very, very rudely and very, very weirdly. Like, what?
They should be accepting of that without a doubt.
You know what I do now?
They should be supporting your vision there.
Yeah, but what I do to get around it now is I actually put my AirPods in. Then people don't think I'm weird. They think I'm having a conversation. So
you are.
So
you
it
have
helps.
a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, and it helps. So.
All right, and so what I'm gonna do here is I just drew a little square, and I'm just gonna take the top two, once again, really heavily relying on this. And I just do not like this sort of Scream-ish looking scared little fella. Yeah, that's the sauce
there
right
we go, yeah.
That's the sauce.
As you plug something in, does it scream? Like, does the mouth go,
I think it's more of a woohoo!
Yeah,
Like, I
okay,
think it's pretty happy.
okay,
It's giving others life.
Yeah.
It's living out its mission.
Who's a good boy?
He's a good outlet.
That's what Cheryl said. Who's a good boy?
That's
he needs to
right.
add a puppy
He is a
ears
good
to
boy.
that
So I'm just
socket.
sort of like figuring out where the balance is here. I could create guides for this. I'm not going to. I'm going to do sort of the hack that everyone does. Just create a box, bring it up here. I want to just see how far away each one of these things is. There we go. Now they're like exactly the same from the top.
I think you've just created some magic.
All right, so there's our outlet icon. How much time do we have?
We have all the time in the world. Matter of fact, I think we can get permission to keep going on the stream for the next 6 hours. What do you think?
Sounds great. All right, we're gonna
Let's see how long you'll last then. No, we got about 11 minutes.
Great.
So you're just super fast because you were thinking I'd spend 15 minutes on this icon.
Yeah. Time was passing by in my mind.
No, it just, Val says it kind of looks like Pikachu, and a little face of Pikachu.
See, that's the kind of joy I want to bring to these apps. I want a little surprise and delight, like
it's
we talked about
shockingly
yesterday.
great. It's shockingly great.
Sarah
So
Little,
that's good.
let's go home and all talk to our outlets.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Zubair, that's such a great
Yeah.
idea. Like getting really into the details. But if we animated him, that would be so cool. It could be a her.
Or her, yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna do now is create the shield. I remember like the first time I ever made a shield, I was doing all kinds of things and nothing was coming out right. I was taking a square and then I was like, oh, all right, well, let's just get a semicircle. Just trying to create it from primitives, and this is sort of how you often work with vectors, is you'll kind of do this primitive thing.
Mickey Mouse starts out as Mickey Mouse and work our way in.
And then this, and then but then I get
Looks like trousers now.
This is an apron for a barbecue place. This is great. Or it's a dog's tongue. I don't know what this is. So one thing that I've learned to do, it's very much like that outlet, is just kind of take your pen tool and you kind of know the shape. So just hit that shape, but only use, don't use curved lines. Never curve these lines out. So that would look something more like this. Well, there's a pinnacle, and then there's this, and then there's sort of, it goes down, and then and if you hold shift, you can 45 it down. That 45 is too steep for me. So here, I'm gonna come up here. Now I hope that I'm sort of the same distance, so I don't wanna guess on reflecting this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna copy, paste, and when I paste, I'm gonna use Command F to paste. That'll paste in front. There's probably a shortcut for this that I don't know as of yet, but I do know that under the transform menu here, there's flip horizontal. So I'm gonna flip it horizontal.
You can also do the reflect tool for that. It does get in the weeds though.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem as close to me as that menu.
Yeah.
And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fuse these points together into one. So I'm going to grab this one and hit Command J, and that's a join. and then select these two. You're not gonna know that there's 2 points selected, but if I did go in there before and did that, you would see that there are 2, and I'm gonna join those 2 together.
Looks like Arash is asking if you can design the bulb too.
Oh, I can design the bulb.
He would love
I can
to see
design the
that.
bulb. Because this one's almost done. It doesn't seem like it's almost done, but it absolutely is. So
Yeah.
look, it looks kind of like a shield, but let's just...
Welcome everybody who has joined us from the chat. Looks like we have
come on
Eric
in. We're
now,
making
Johnson.
icons. Step on in. The water's
We're having a
warm.
grand old time. It's very iconic. Very iconic. You know, speaking of icons, do you ever feel like there's one that's the most hated? I have one that I think is the most hated icon of all time.
What's that?
Remember Microsoft back when they not the company, but remember when they started Microsoft Word? There was Chippy. Clippy. I feel like Clippy gets way too much.
Clippy's get revived though.
He
Clippy's
gets
coming
no
back.
love.
Clippy's coming.
Clippy does
Clippy's
not get any love. No.
Clippy's got new love though.
But yeah, it's true. People are creating a lot of memes about him. It's true. It's true.
Okay, so there we are. We've got a shield. So notice how simple that was. I remember before it would take me like 30 minutes to do shape math to try to construct this thing, and then I would just like freehand it, and freehanding it didn't have the symmetry that I was hoping for, nor sort of like the geometric quality that I was looking for. So would you look at that? Let's go make a bulb.
You're already done?
I mean,
Now,
it's not on the grid.
Are you
It's
doing
not on the
states
grid.
on these? Are you doing states on these? Are we gonna have an on-off?
Yep.
Sorry, forgive me.
I've already done that here.
Select and deselected. Oh.
Yeah, so I've got a little cross through it. One thing that I might do with this is drag this down and then do a punch out of this so that I have a little bit of a cutout so it's clear that it's actually a line through and not just sort of a decoration on top of it.
Very nice.
So
Howard Pinsky has joined us. He says that Clippy is the Comic Sans of icons. Yeah, it gets no love. It's true.
Oh, just misunderstood, to be honest. Misunderstood.
And then Voodoo Val says, "Hey, do you need help with a thing I ask about? I always ask about. No, well, let me dance for you instead, Clippy." That's what he did. That was his job.
That was his actual line?
He made you happy, frustrated, not happy, happy. Or sometimes happy, sad when the thing didn't say. But you know, it works.
Let's bring him back.
Yeah,
Powers of the internet,
think so.
let's summon him. Let's create a summoning circle for Clippy and bring him back.
Yeah.
One thing that's nice about not destructing or destroying these objects, meaning not expanding them, is that I can kind of reverse engineer some of the work that I did on there. And you can see there what I did. Pretty simple stuff. Let's just recreate this one really fast. Let's get a bulb. Yeah, let's kind of figure out what our width is gonna be. Once again, I'm keeping everything right on the center. And then let's create a little rectangle. And I'm just going to get the same size. That was a good size. I like that size. If I can drag it, then that would be awesome. It's being a little finicky, but there it is. All right, and then I'm just gonna take some strokes here. I'm gonna put them in there. I'm gonna turn on the rounded butt, because everyone likes a good rounded butt, right?
That's right.
Get that round butt cap.
That's right.
All right, and then I'm just gonna make this one a little bit.
And don't worry, I brought Clippy back.
And this one I'm gonna make the bulb even bigger. I like a big old bulb. Yeah, it's a big bulb. All right.
I like big bulbs and I cannot lie, it's true.
The dad jokes are flowing with this one. They're strong with this one. Yeah. Okay, so what I've done, just so I didn't go too fast, I'm just using Unite.
So
take those
Peter
two shapes,
actually likes
put
your
them
process.
together. Peter, I've got, dude, I've got a lot more to share over here, buddy. All right, so.
We might get the okay to go 6 hours on you building icons.
Oh, I would love it, I would love it. So, at this point, I just want to round this out. And this is really where the magic is in this corner radius widget. Previously, like way back before they had this widget, I would probably just say, okay, this is enough. It's kind of a little bit simple and rudimentary. It doesn't really follow a true shape of a bulb, but I would probably just leave it here because I didn't know what else to do. So if I come here, select both of them, and this works too. Once again, you can just go up here and I'm holding shift. I can actually not hold shift and go slower. I can actually just hold up and down, and you can just sort of see it animate into place. And boom, there we are. That is a nice icon. That is one good icon. So at that point, what I've done is I've then taken these icons and I've used this add to add the graphics into here. I've also colored them for Chris just to get that out of the way. And so you can see if I double click on here in the shared assets, you can see those icons are in here. Not all of these are gonna be that recognizable. For instance, this window maybe doesn't translate as a window, so I would be asking people and I would be saying, what does this mean to you? When you look at this, what does this mean? Just to make sure that I'm properly communicating with my iconography.
Sarah says that that's a nice curve.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks so much. It means a lot.
I agree too.
Appreciate that.
You got the curves and the swerves, bro.
All right, so I think these will be our icons. I don't think we'll use them all.
Do you feel like your icons are on point? I mean, they're on a grid, but I don't know if they're on
they're
point.
on the points,
Are they
for
on point?
sure.
Okay, okay.
All right, so I think based on this, do we have any more time? Should we pass over to you?
No, I think we've got about 3 minutes left. So if you have another icon that you want to show, if not, we can move forward.
Yeah, I guess I would ask the group, is there any other sort of like icons you want me to recreate here that may help?
Yeah, before chat and win.
Yeah, we could definitely, Zubair, we could definitely put some rays on that. That might be a really nice touch to keep it from being too simple.
We can also ask answer some questions. Dario has one. When should you accompany an icon with text? Google just did this.
All right.
Yeah, when you do and look on Google search, they actually have that. They actually have up in the top now.
Yeah, so my answer to that would be when you can. I know it's not as clean of a design, but remember the goal of design and the goal of this iconography is to communicate very clearly. And so I would say when you can do it, but also there are times that you run into concepts that we just have not experienced in life before. Like we've experienced light bulbs, we've experienced things, and they're physical objects that we can use as a metaphor for something.
Yeah.
But let's say like the idea of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Like how would I even go about communicating that? And sometimes you'll take a stab at it, but you may just have to accompany it with some text.
Yeah, that's true. Like a road sign. You
Right.
have to.
Right.
We already drive crazy enough. Could you imagine if we didn't have the text and the icon? Yeah, totally. I agree. One of them had mentioned that they wanted to see an alert or alarm icon. You know what icon I want to see if we have time? We have about a minute.
I gotta speed run this. So
What about a settings icon? What are some tips and tricks you do? Because that's a complicated icon.
it's a very complicated icon. Yeah, that one's.
Yeah?
I mean,
I think I stumped Rogie.
I think. Well, I've done
I
these.
think
I've
I'm
done
going
these,
home now.
I've done this quite a few times, but I think the idea is you need to know what a gear looks like.
Yeah.
I will speed run this. I have got a minute, so I'm going to do as fast as I can possibly do
Okay,
this.
chat, let's cheer them on.
The one
Let's
thing
go, Rogie. Let's go, Rogie.
with these settings icons, I learned this a while back. You can't just put these little fellas in.
These little fellas.
And you can't just rotate them around. It looks like an asterisk. So you kind of have to have a spoke or something in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna rotate this, and hopefully we're gonna get something that's gonna spin around to 360. So it has to be divisible by 360, so I'm rotating it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna copy that one again, and I'm just going to go to Object Transform, Transform again. All right, now looks like this is perhaps a little bit
Do you know what? I actually like that icon altogether. I mean, just like that.
All right, so what we're gonna do is take this, we're gonna pathfind them all together.
Oh, very
Got
nice.
a little bit of artifacting there, but whatever we're speed
Is that,
running.
is that what we call it there? It's artifacting?
Where the stroke isn't quite working to
Okay.
the shape.
Okay.
What I would probably do then on this, for some reason we've got a little bit of a weird stroke thing going on here.
Okay.
At this point, I would probably come in and use radius tool on all this and kind of round these out like this. There would be some tweaks I would need to do. I would probably take this, punch this out. Maybe I would mess around at this rate with sort of going inside, taking that stroke placement inside, outside, what looks best.
And on that, chat and win is ready.
And we're done. Speed run is done.
Fireworks! Let's get to it. Oh, that's a good Skittle. All right, so let's do it. All right, so Tell us a little about the icons you liked. What's your favorite ones? What are ones that you've tried in the past and you feel are way complicated? We'd love to hear that. Look at that.
Yeah, most complex,
dang.
common icon to create. I know the heart shape is definitely
The heart shape. Why do you
heart
think that?
Heart is strange. There are very simplistic ways to create a heart, but often people end up taking like really around the pathways to get there. Take 20 minutes to create an icon that actually takes 30 seconds to create.
Right. To me, I've always done triangle, triangle, or triangle, circle, circle, brought it together, and am I doing that wrong? That's usually.
I mean, everybody's got their own way. Like, I don't know. So we've got. Let's see what we got coming in here. We've got.
Andrew says his favorite icons are you and I. Oh, we have a winner already.
We've already got one.
I'm not gonna murder that. You have to say.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and botch this name.
Yeah.
But realize there's love behind this. Zubair Hashmi.
Yeah, dude,
You're the
think
winner.
You got it.
You're the winner.
You guys are both winners.
Give me a shaka in the stream in the chat if I got your name right, man.
No, wait for it. Oh, yeah. Now remember, if you didn't win today, just remember that if you use the URL that's on the screen, the Adobe Live, you can actually get 10 stickers for $1 from Sticker Mill. So everyone's still a winner, because $1 for 10 stickers is pretty legit.
Not bad at all. You can try out your designs, see if you like them. Yep.
Yeah. So is there any other feedback that you want to give for the audience for this icon? And I feel like that's pretty much done, right?
The only feedback that I would give, if you are interested in making your own icons, I would really look out at the other like just ask questions, ask other people what it is, how they make icons. I'm gonna botch him. Mark. Ooh, I forgot his last name. He does these icon. Just look up icon speedruns. He is amazing in his way that he understands how you create these complex shapes with really simple things. I'll give just a quick example of what sort of one that I learned from him that I took into my own tool belt. So we're gonna make a heart. So I'm just gonna 45 it.
We're doing this.
This is how well, it won't take much time, which is insane.
Oh, I like this. Well,
so we're gonna round buck cap this?
56 minutes to the portfolio deadline anyway, so please.
All right, so we're going to just come in here, stroke weight. Now what does this look like? It looks like a caret, it looks like a V. All we're going to do is just up this.
Okay, let's get some round of applause emojis in there.
And also, the tools are right here. You can see on the corner,
good.
Go to a tip. So all of a sudden I've made a heart icon. I can expand this thing out and give it a stroke. So literally object expand, boom. Now it's expanded. I can sample with eyedropper, and I've got my icon.
Look at that.
Yep.
Look at that. Hand clap, everybody. Hand clap.
Speed run that.
Emojis, hand clap.
All right.
Look at Voodoo, here it is. It's all coming in.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
That's good. I never even thought about doing that.
There's just some tricks, like getting into the guts of Illustrator. There's some really interesting tricks you can do.
See, and this is why I love Adobe live streams, because we as designers, especially with remote coming up on a high level of everybody being remote nowadays, community matters, because I never would have learned that.
Absolutely. Howard has pointed out that his name is Mark Edwards.
Oh,
Dude
okay.
is a damn legend
of
shapes, but he's also like a designer legend. I look up to that guy so much. Like, look through those. He's got this massive thread, and you'll just pick up like all of these little magical tips. It's insane.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so if we dropped every one of these inside of...
Yep, so I've gone ahead and prepped all these. I put them into the Creative Cloud library, which should be synced on our Nucleus project, and it's over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so if you see on my screen, notice I've got a little friend here. You asked me to bring him back, so I brought him back.
I feel protected.
Brought him back, yeah, he's here.
I feel protected.
He's here, he's a part of our design, so we're good, okay. But just to kind of give you some, we did remove a few things based on our design judgment. We wanted to make sure we got to the point of what we needed from our design. So we're gonna dive in it. Now yesterday we had our onboarding screens, but due to time we actually cut those out. So we have our login, and then I wanted to show some processes with prototyping for our login. The only thing is that I found iOS hasn't yet updated the design hue. They haven't updated their iPad what is it called? Their keyboard. It's not not the same size as this, so I could only find the smaller one.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I won't be using that, but I've got it here where I'll kind of go through this and we'll start working on it. And then we're gonna start adding some more content and data to it. And I wanna get some feedback from you, and as soon as we get to a point where we understand that the feedback's coming from that, then we'll say, okay, let's move on to the next step. And I wanna show off some features that come along with it. Now, you've already given me some of the icons. So I've put some of these icons in here, so we've got that there. And if you were to update any of those, they would automatically update on my end, so pretty good. And then I've got my basic layout. Let's move Clippy over here. I've got my basic layout. I've got, did you create an icon for the off and on switch that we'll be using for the alarm, disarm, and arm? Or are we gonna be going a different direction with that?
We could use the shield icon where it's this and that, or we could just create sort of like just a toggle.
No, I like the shield. I think it's a little different, we'll do it.
Yep.
Now, what are some things that are in your system right now that you struggle with when it comes to, now we won't say company names, but in your security system, what are some things that you struggle with when you're like, man, I wish the UI, being a designer and having this, you could say, man, I wish it had this feature?
I think whenever my kids set off the alarm all the time, and whenever the alarm's being set off, it almost always ends up like calling the local police. And then I got some policemen and it's a design issue for me. I have some policemen at my door, people calling me. It's a design issue for me because it's just like, I just needed one more second to get there and disarm. Like I accidentally opened the door when I realized that like my alarm system was enabled.
Yeah.
That's one thing that my wife shared with me with our system one time is my son sleepwalks. And so he was sleepwalking around the house, he sets off the alarm. But she doesn't know that he sleepwalks out into the garage, opens the garage doors open, the alarm's going off. I'm at my friend's house, I rush home, my wife's like, somebody's in my house, freaking out. And like,
oh, wow.
These are dramatic stories, but when you're dealing with security systems like this and UI for it, these are the kinds of things that happen. And bye, Peter Bud, thanks so much for showing up.
Take care, man.
So the interesting thing is she was able to go through the UI and find a log of what actually happened, and knowing that our son sleeps, we actually saw the path. This motion sensor got set off, this motion sensor got set off, this motion sensor got set off. Then in the living room, and it's a path from the inside of the house, so it's either the killer's inside.
Right.
Either the killer's inside.
How did the person get inside with the door locked?
Right, and the end of the story, we end up finding out that like my son showed up at, sleepwalking, showed up at our door, and we can see that motion path. We didn't figure that out until about 30 minutes later, and that was because it took a little while to find the log. But if the log was more clear as to like, this got turned on, this got turned on, this time, thinking about like a Twitter feed or something like that, that's incredibly helpful as to knowing like what happened. So that's another experience that may inform like,
okay, so we're gonna add that here on the home screen. We're gonna make it like a dashboard. The other thing we're gonna do to help us out here, so one of the screens that you talked about yesterday was wanting to do a emergency mode or something where it's a big button and you can just focus directly on that one aspect.
Right, the idea and the thinking behind that was when my alarm's going off or something like catastrophic is happening, I have a flood, I have a fire, somebody's breaking in,
yep.
I'm not thinking, you know, I really want to go in and like adjust my settings and maybe turn the thermostat down. Right now, at this point, this time, it's most important that you represent that.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So to do that, I'm gonna be changing a lot in the home, and I don't wanna do all this work and then have to come back here and start changing a bunch of stuff. So I'm actually gonna take all this out and make emergency mode on here blank. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take all of this and I'm going to group it. Oh, it looks like I have an icon over here. Let's see what that's that.
And just to let y'all know, I'm gonna be watching chat, and so any questions you may have as Chris is building, please ask me, and I'll be willing to forward.
So we're gonna group it together, and then we're gonna hold, and to group it, you can go up to the top here, you can hit Command or Control-G. Very simple. But to turn it into a master component, I wanna actually do that. The reason why is because anytime that I do changes in those changes, so a nav, footer, or if I'm doing a screen where I'm doing an overlay, like we'll be doing, I'm gonna be making changes to that, but I don't wanna change it on a bunch of other screens. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a component. I'm gonna bring that component down here, and I'm going to put it there.
So this whole base screen is just a
now
component.
this whole base screen is a master component.
So you're not copy-pasting to update UI. Okay.
So now what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna start building. So Adobe XD has a great feature built in called Repeat Grid. So when you hit Command R, you can actually start pulling this down. Yeah, so you can start pulling this down.
Dude, that's some hot shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it just repeats the element over and over and over.
Yep. So, and it gives you the ability to put in your space and so on and so forth. So we've got that there. But if you look, I don't have to redo it on another
master component.
Right.
This is an instance of the master component.
But, oh, let me make sure I get rid of that one. But I also need to make sure that let's see here. I also want to make sure that I have my overlay and so on and so forth. So everything's still being created behind it. So it's a hack. It's not a hack. It's a proficient way. I am professional. Okay. I'm professional. It's a proficient way to focus on doing your design, but at the same time, since components have come out. Okay, so 50% there. Then I'll have my white pop up there. So I've got that feature ready. Okay, but I wanted to show that on live before we moved on. So now that we have that, now this box here that we've created. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I actually want to go in here and I want to
that box is a component as well?
No, it's not, but I'm going to make it a component now.
So you repeat grid on anything. Doesn't even have to be a component.
Oh, absolutely. You can repeat grid on these icons. Okay. The other thing I like doing is when I'm making a list, I like to repeat grid them. Do that there, and then undo the repeat grid.
So easy. Right.
And then you undo the group, and now I have a bunch of lists that I can create. So, and then you can check your spacing and so on and so forth.
So if you repeat grid on something, can you like back up one step?
Sure.
Repeat grid on that list again.
Okay. Oops. Command R.
Command R. Okay, then that's in that mode. Repeat grid real quick. Just pull it down.
Oops.
All right, now if you type into the Your House is Protected on top, you just use text tool and go in there.
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
But there's another cool thing that you can do. If you made this a component, which is right here, or Command K, right? And you type here, does that. And then you can go down here and you can change all your other tags.
If you make it a component in line there, does that mean that the master component is somewhere in there?
The master component's the first one.
It's the first one.
Yes, and I wanted to show this off. And anything that you changed before doesn't change.
That's awesome.
So you're creating all these lists that gives you the ability to do that. And it's really nice because there's these different things and there's new, from what I understand, there's new features that are going to be coming out. Adobe XD does their updates every month. And coming from someone who uses Illustrator, it's nice to see that your UX person, UX designer, and I am a person, he or she has all these features, these abilities, so that way it can push your icon in the story that you're trying to tell, whether it's on the website or an app. Okay, so because I did this here, I'm actually going to, this is only my border box. Now, you told me you were gonna do 64 by 64, right?
So I built them inside a 64 by 64 box. Okay,
so now I wanna bring them down to a 32. And with that bringing down to 32, with that ability, I want to then bring it in. So let's library. Oh, we don't want to lock it. We want library. Let's make it small here. There we go. Okay, so we did that. But you know what? I actually built a design system for this. So why don't I pull all the icons in my design system because they're already linked. Oh, you gave me a logo mark. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna bring all these in.
Can you just select all?
No, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Not a feature yet, but I want that in Creative Cloud, and this box is actually for Creative Cloud more than it is. But you've given me an icon for an unselected state and a selected state. Is that correct? Okay. So we've got these two.
For the main 3 nav items, correct?
Okay, for the main 3 nav items. All the rest of them will not have.
All the rest are just sort of that regular icon tone, that grayish color.
Okay. I've got
I can,
that
of
one.
course, adjust those on the fly if you need that.
No. Do you feel like we need that? And I'm trying to have this open conversation because that's what would happen in a real-time
Right, totally.
aspect. So,
This is all iterative. We're going to figure out as we go what it looks like, right?
Yes.
We're building this thing.
oh no, it looks like. So Howard has a good point. He says you can, of course, remove the master component from the grid and only deal with the instances with the repeat grid.
So would you then just drag or drag that out then and sort of maybe put it into a master components area?
No, and actually with the newest update, so if I were to drag this right here, it would copy all the rest of them. See that? So inside
I
of
see.
repeat grid,
The whole-
it copies it.
Okay.
Yeah, because we as designers, even though we make pretty stuff, the majority of stuff that we're doing is using our, let's move it 10 pixels this way, 10 pixels that way, and let's copy and paste a bunch of things. So XD thought, you know what, let's do the copy and paste thing and try and figure out how we can make it better. Okay, so let me make sure I go through. All right, here we go. Yep, and you can also, there's a drag feature that you can do on this, or a drag animation. So that way you can drag it up and show if you're ever doing a prototype for someone.
In the prototype, yep.
Yep. And I'll show that off. Let's move Clippy over, because obviously Clippy doesn't move. And he hasn't answered me at all. He hasn't talked to me. It's really
He's there
sad.
for moral support.
Yeah,
He's a good
he is.
guy.
Yeah, he is. I'm giving him a little love today.
Just kind of pass his aura off to you as you design.
That's right. Okay, so I am going to highlight all these. Okay, and in a normal situation, I would, let's make these all components. Oops. That's not true. Component. There we go. And the way you can see that it's a component now is it gives it a diamond.
Okay.
It's
Upper
still
left corner,
linked. Yep, it's
green
still
diamond.
linked.
Okay.
Okay, so we know that's not a diamond. Okay, perfect. So we've got all of them here. Now I should be able to go back to this document, and by hitting Command Shift Y, I'll bring up my assets panel. And soon enough, see that update there?
Okay.
12 new items have been added.
Oh,
so now I've got all this linked together, and I can do that. Because in a real life situation, you're gonna have somebody that's gonna create a document like this, right? And we've been doing this in Illustrator for years, right? Of having all your icons, your brand, and so on and so forth. But they'll do that in here. Now, typically, you're probably gonna create the design system for your product in here because it is a UX tool, right? So we would create all that, get it all squared away, and then being able to have it all in there gives us the opportunity. And any times that you make changes to these, so I'm gonna make changes to the size.
Alex says, Clippy is my spirit animal. Can we just, one of y'all, you're all talented, beautiful people. Can we just get like a piece of art on a shirt and put that out there and like, let's get a Clippy shirt going.
Yeah.
Let's revive him.
I think the text should say, how can I help you?
That would be great.
Down at the bottom, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Any Clippy, I'm Clippy curious right now, so
I'm Cliptastic.
anything you can make, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
keep
Put it
going.
on the interwebs. Okay, so we've got that here. Now I need to start bringing in my icons, right? And then I'll start changing my text. And then the cool thing is if you ever want to, if say we had all this content we wanted to get taken care of, there is a plugin with Google Sheets that you could actually put all this content in there, and your copywriter could actually put it in there, and then I could tie them to each one of these.
So that's gonna be like live data in a sense.
Correct. Yeah, so there is an option for us to go in there later on and do that, just so that we can make it more realistic when we do it as a prototype.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like one part of design that I always struggled earlier on as a product designer is that I would always design for the ideal state, meaning the state that looked the most pretty. I think we all do this. We tend to come into design being interested in creativity and art, and so we wanted to create these, and we want to sell these designs, want to sell them to our clients, and so we create these ideal states, you know, with just the right text. And what happens if the text wraps? Well, we're not going to let that text wrap because it doesn't look good. So I think that plugin could really help bring in lots of various types of data, like what happens if you have special characters in a name, or what happens if there's a dash in there? What happens if, you know, for some reason, you know, the device is named like a long string of like 1,000 characters. Like, what's going to happen to the design?
Right.
And that's something that I learned later on in my career. Is that like, don't design for the ideal state. Design for the extreme states. Like, what happens if this list has 2 million items in it or no items in it? You hit the edges, edge casing to try to figure out what it is, how elastic your UI is.
Did we do a motion icon? I don't think we did we?
A motion? No, we did not.
Okay, then let me, what I'll do is I'll do a thermostat instead. And you know what? For some reason, this is not in my, there it goes.
If you want motion, I can whip one up.
No, that, you know what, I'll work with this.
We got a lot of different icons that we can.
I'll work with this.
Yeah.
Let's see if this will override it. Yes, it will.
So it overrides the size too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
And that's fine. I can easily do 32 because obviously these are at 64, so that's fine. Now, why did we do them at 64? Because we're crazy, or?
We didn't have to. And sort of retrospectively looking back, like had we known the space slots that they would go in, I would have probably just done 32 because once again, it fits into the divisible by 8 kind of a thing, and it would have been just fine. And designing at 32, I would have just adjusted my grid, and we'd have been done.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Okay. Zubair, is that how you said it?
I said Zubair. Yep.
He said you're correct.
Oh man.
I know. We can go.
All
home.
right.
We can go home happy.
We're brothers
today.
now.
Yeah.
Zubair, you and I.
Yep. So let me see. Temp change in living room. Oh, you know what? I actually have my bottom one here, so I'm gonna say thermostat.
Right, I think it would be something like thermostat set to 72 degrees in living room.
Yep.
Timestamp.
Thank goodness for spell check. Perfect. Yes. Oh, the other thing that I would want to do, so this box is actually automatically bound. What I would have done, and one of the features actually I've requested as an XD user is, hopefully at one point we can create bounds here, right? Or margin, because we as designers use margin and padding all the time, right? But to work around that, what I'd want to do is I'd want to turn this into, and I'd want to do it on the master. So let's go to the master. I want to now turn this into a box, and let's see here. So I've got 16 on this side.
Line, right?
Correct. So I've got 16 on this side. Let's go.
And what are you
60 on
holding
this
to
side.
bring up those when it gives you the little auto rulers?
Option.
So option tells you as you're dragging like the distance between things.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So do that.
Great.
So I'm at 16 now. You can see that there. And you know what? I don't like what's going on with this picture. So there was a new feature that just came out, and I want to show that off. And I've actually used it several times on certain things that are for that. Photoshop can now edit your pictures. Just by right-clicking, going in there, and it automatically opens the picture.
So you would open from XD into Photoshop.
Right. So you know what? I don't like that what they put on there, right? And so I might change the brightness. Maybe I'll change it to black and white. If I needed a picture in there, right, to show off an illustration what it is, but I want it to be black and white, I could bring it in as a PNG into XD and then right-click on it, edit in Photoshop, and then turn it into a black and white picture until I'm done with my wireframing. Just because I don't want to put any colors in there and then have them say, oh yeah, but let's change all the colors and get focused on that.
This is too vibrant.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Like, it's not about that right now. It's just a picture.
It's wireframe is meant for functionality. And we can change certain things on it, right? We can adjust those.
Howard Pinsky says automatic padding would be neat. That would be awesome. Grab an object, type in this is a 16 padding thing. Boom! It's automatically like the objects hit the edges.
Oh yeah. And I'm curious how they would do that. Would they do it on a groups? I would assume it'd be a group thing, but it's exciting to see how they're gonna do it. Okay, so
we trust in Adobe to make the magic.
Yeah, that's right. I just want to design. You give me the better workflows, right? That's what we want. Okay, let's put.
Oh yeah, get a rainbow gradient on that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pick this one.
Oh, that's all the rage. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't like the fact that that's opacity. So we're just gonna turn down
You got a blend mode on that?
Yeah. Can you do mesh gradients inside of Photoshop? I don't think you can you?
I'm not sure because I don't use Photoshop.
You know what?
So-
Yeah, I'm not a Photoshop guy either. But you know what I'd like to get? Can you take a mesh gradient inside of Illustrator in a box and then put that into our library, and then I'll bring that over.
You want something with our like nucleus?
Yeah, I like that. And then I'll put it on top of this picture and I'll show how we can save
Sure,
it.
maybe we can get like both screens on so that we can both simultaneously work here.
Oh,
Thanks to Paco
Oh.
the Man.
yeah. And below us, there are floating things behind us.
All right, so you can go ahead and work and I'll...
Okay.
Let's work in tandem, bud.
Okay, I like this. All right, I'm
Alright.
gonna work on my icons. All right.
That's not what I need to do. Okay, let's lift this up.
Is the terminology that they use alarm is disarm, or do they say security system disarm? Is that what they're usually
I would
using?
imagine it's security system. I don't remember though.
All right.
Because it's not just an alarm, right? It's
Right.
multiple things. Just a little zoom in on what I'm doing. Made it as simple for myself as possible. Literally created a box, just a black box here, and then grabbed this thing that has that gradient mesh on it, and I just hit eyedropper. I'm so a fan of like, we've got, Mark said system is armed. I think that's a good way to go.
System is armed. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mark.
You can see in sampling this, boom, like it sort of translates all those spots, and it just works. If I want to go into this gradient, I can go into Edit Gradient, and you'll see here it's a free form gradient. There's other kinds we could use. We could use a radial. We could use like your classic everyday gradient, but we could also go to this free form one as well. The interesting
Mark, I'm
thing
going to
about
use
this-
armed, and then the next one I'm going to use disarm.
Come in here, we can add some points.
We got about 30 minutes before we do our portfolio submission, or before we do the portfolio review. Please get those submissions in so that we can review them. I appreciate it.
If we don't get any submissions, we'll just hop back into probably either something that we need to finish out, or maybe help out, ask some questions.
I may actually do what Peter did to Andrew today during the Daily Creative Challenge.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you do some animations inside of XD that you've never used.
You're gonna make me use a tool I've never used. You're gonna be one hell of a teacher. in my mind, it sounded right.
Yeah, in my head it sounded good, but then I saw sweat come down your side. Like, you know what?
I'm actually happy to.
Let's do it together.
You can teach, yeah, you can
Let's
teach
do it
me.
together, okay.
That'd be cool. I was really fascinated by it the other day when you did it.
Yeah, I think you had an oh crap moment. You're like, no.
Probably very true. You want me to just drop a massive sort of asset into the shared library here?
Yeah, because then I can put it down.
What
to where I
size?
need
Like
it
we were
to
just
be.
thinking like huge, like
You know
2,000
what?
by 2,000
I've
or
got
something?
a little thing that I want to do for the artboard of. I've got a little animation that I want to do for the artboard in our launch screen. So
Okay.
let's do it. Let's do it big enough for that. So
Great.
you want to do a 2x of 1194 by 834?
1184 by 834. Now, my hope here is that I could just come in here and put ×2.
The question
And
is
do
it
some
going to be
math.
vector? Because if it's vector, then we won't really have to worry about when it's transitioned. But
That's
what I think you
honestly,
should
let's
do.
just assume that
Let's
it's
assume
vector,
that, yeah, let's assume
and
that.
we'll just not 2x it.
Adobe
realize
Illustrator's
that we're living
pretty
in the
smart.
future.
It's pretty smart, so let's do it. So,
So I'm gonna go here.
Zubair, he says
perfect.
that he agrees that you should do animation.
Okay.
If anybody else
it's
feels
choose your own
like-
adventure, but
yeah.
it's choose Rogie's adventure.
I don't know if anybody's played Oregon's Trail, but it's about to be like that today.
This layer will be named gradient, like whoa,
Like whoa, gradient like whoa.
and
okay.
it's syncing, so we can give that a try and see what that looks like on top of that house image and what that looks like
Okay.
maybe on that screen.
So I'm gonna bring it into Photoshop first. Okay, nucleus. There's my graphic. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, I'm actually gonna get rid of this gradient fill. I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna transform it. Transform like Transformers.
Looks like I made it just a little off. Oh, the house is.
That's
a different
because
dimension.
it's the
Right.
picture. Okay, so we're gonna save this here. Actually, we're not gonna save that there. We're gonna actually do.
Yeah, drop that opacity down. There we go. Can you change the blend mode of just that one layer?
I don't think so. Again, I'm not a novice inside of
Well,
Photoshop.
drop down from normal.
Okay. Oh, yes,
And then
yes,
go
yes.
to like overlay, hard light, soft light. Give a couple of those a try, and you'll see the way that the colors interplay.
Should we bring this back up?
Yeah, why not? Give it a try.
Ooh, that's psychedelic right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So probably what
Oh.
you could also do a
It's
straight
Michael
up.
Myers' house. This is
This is the Amityville horror.
Yeah, exactly.
My style.
Right there.
What about going to color?
Which in color right here?
Right, and so basically what it will do is, it's essentially like taking a black and white image or a grayscale image, and then just, it's all those color values there that we put on that gradient. So it sucks all
Color does?
yes, that color mode. Yep.
Okay. If we copied this and did it again and didn't do that and did something like this,
And to bring more
I'm
in?
curious to know what it would look like.
Sure.
Because obviously in the app, we'd have to create some kind of process for this, but we're gonna save it anyways just to see how it looks.
Which nowadays with sort of iOS and its capabilities, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice, just
I like
updated.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I like that. Okay, perfect. All right, and for the avatar, I grabbed my buddy Kenny. He's actually one of the growth designers here at Adobe, so I grabbed his
look at Kenny.
one eye image. All right.
All right, so what's next?
He's keeping an eye on our house.
The dad jokes have never flowed as hard and fast as now.
Oh gosh. Oh, somebody suggested, or Zabar suggested that we try a blur. Might be able to try
Yeah,
that.
I think that Zubair's got a good point. You might actually
But we
maybe
still
not
want
blur the home, but I think he's thinking blur the this gradient here, because it still looks like it has some discrete points on it. So yeah, you would blur the gradient. It still looks as if like you took a green blob and a pink blob here.
Okay, I put that on there. Doesn't feel like it did anything.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do arm is armed. Oops. Gotta click inside of it. Come on.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes it doesn't do it. Well, I've had it where it doesn't do it like that. So what I do is actually just, because it's still a master component, I'll just level it up and then I'll go into my layer and get rid of it. See, and it doesn't delete any of the other ones. Do you think that these should be colored? Just give me a thought as a product designer.
I think that there are certain things in a security system that are really important to note.
Yes,
And I think
and
that
I
there
think
are
these
things
two.
that maybe are not. And probably the key being that this is a security system. So when your alarm is on and when it's off, or when it's when an alarm has gone off, those are probably important things to note. Whether or not they look like that in this log is a different thing.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we've got that here. We've got a couple more that we're gonna do. So we're gonna do some automation. I think we need to have some feed of the automation triggers.
And I'll just kind of read through some of these last messages. Screen Arif says screen, so that's a blend mode. So that might have been a really good mode for us to try.
Yeah.
Let's see.
These are great things that they can try in
Yeah.
their design now.
Oh,
they
totally.
can try all these different things and show off.
Yeah, and a lot of
these.
times I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just messing around.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff to be found in these tools.
Yeah,
So
totally.
take some time to tinker. I remember the first time that I started in Illustrator, I asked everyone how to do things that I wanted to do, and a lot of people didn't know, and I gave myself a few weeks, and like I was unearthing things, some pretty cool stuff within within a couple of weeks, just with my curiosity.
Yeah, yeah. I love playing around the tool and saying, "Is this possible? Is this possible?" And I have one of those today that I'm going to try if it's possible on screen, and then you'll obviously. I think people aren't going to put portfolio reviews in there because I think they want to see you struggle.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
enjoy my pain.
Yeah,
Enjoy
yeah.
my pain.
Fair.
Another question, SVG animation by, I believe it's Nebosja. What tool would you recommend for SVG web animation? My background is being a programmer, and so I would use something like GreenSock, but that's quite literally like typing in values.
Yeah.
This goes to this side of the screen over from here to here over this duration. I know there are much better tools that are visual tools.
Yeah, well, and then Lottie's
Lottie
coming
do that?
out right now. There is some documents on that, and I do know that Adobe After Effects has a plugin, and they have instructions and everything how to set that up with that. But you can actually bring all of your animations that you've done, or all the design that you've done within Adobe XD, and if you have it installed, you can export it straight to After Effects. So in essence, your process could be design in Illustrator, or design in
if
here.
we get time, let's. Oh, that's cool.
Then you do it. And fun fact, I didn't know you were a programmer.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
I did. I'm being surprised.
I've been around this for a while. Multidisciplinary.
Yeah,
I've constantly sort of lily padded from one thing to another. I'm super curious. I love art. I love coding. I love digital stuff. So.
Let's see.
One thing that's seeming apparent in this design is that I have no idea when things are happening. So like, when did each thing happen?
Oh, we need time.
So in this case, if you realize you've set up a pattern, you're like, oh crap, like,
yeah,
I need a time, what would you do now?
You know what? I would actually go in here. I'd bring this down. I would copy it. So if I hit Option, if I hold Option while dragging, which is a feature that's in a lot of Adobe products.
In a lot of products, yep.
Right? Let's go 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
Today.
Cool.
And then I'd obviously want to bring that down. Okay.
Right, it's not the sort of primary information.
Correct. Yep. So it's not the primary information, so we read that here. Let's make sure it's not too tight on everything, and I think it looks good. I'll make sure that's good.
Now, if you wanted to make sure that text is legible and readable, how might you do that? Like, especially that one, as it gets smaller.
There's a few things that you could do. You could use the Adobe XD app. You could open it up and have it in there, and you could see it from what it actually looked like on the actual device itself. The other option
like springboard it to...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. So you've done that on your iPad before, all right?
Yeah, so you'll open it up, look on there. The other option is you ever heard of Get Stark or Stark?
Yeah, just now hearing a lot more about it.
For accessibility, that's a whole nother range, right? And I'm beginning to learn more of that. But for accessibility, that right there is something you may test and say, is this going to be something that's going to look good? But those are two options.
Awesome.
That you use. Are there anything that you use in your everyday that you're like, hey, I just know that gray is going to be way too much?
Not necessarily, because design is changing so much as far as like I'm changing backgrounds and this and that. It's not always on a white background.
Yeah.
If someone in the chat could look up Get Stark, I think .co maybe?
Yeah,
look up Get Stark.
There's a
If we can
plugin.
get a link in there, my friend Kat over there is doing a great job sort of trying to help people that are vision impaired, trying to educate designers that like our interfaces need to work for everyone.
So this is what we have right now. We have it at an 8. At a normal text at 16, it would pass.
So it fails.
It fails at the small one.
Okay.
But so this is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take this.
What happens if you bold that text? So the little one there, the time.
So yeah, let's make it.
What if we
bold.
thickened it a bit? Do we feel like that might make it?
Let's figure it out.
Hey, thanks, Dario. Yeah, Use Contrast is also made by Matt D. Smith, and it's a very, very convenient menu bar app that's not within a design tool. And it's also super handy and very economically priced. So I would recommend using both.
Still fails. So I think what I need to do is, and that's this on this white background. So what
That's just that one. Huh,
yeah,
okay.
so what we could do is, let's go here.
And we've got 20 minutes till portfolio reviews.
Yep.
Otherwise, I get thrown to the animation wolves.
Yep. Oh, let's do this.
Thanks, Val, for that link.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this text color and we're going to make it that. But what if we went 80%? So we're going to go, let's go 80. Let's make it semi-bold. Okay. Actually, let's try going 50.
Micah Heading says you could just make it larger, and instead of doing like 8:30 a.m. today, you could do something like X minutes ago, or even a shorter form of like 2H or 2 hours.
Yeah, and well, at one point we would want to change our methodology. And again, we'd have to think through this about methodology. It says, okay, what today is going to be X minutes ago.
Right.
1 hour ago.
And then maybe after 24 hours or something, it switches
One
to
day
yesterday
ago.
or something.
Yesterday, right. We're using more of a normal terminology. So we would want to create that in our design system to say this is how this is going to flow.
Yeah, there's probably like a ton of scenarios as a designer you'd have to think through, which is like, well, if it says like 2H ago or something 2 hours ago, does that work for all people? Do sort of elderly people understand what 2H means? And also, what if I want to look at this in a more sort of, in a more detailed way? Like I'm kind of trying to figure out exactly at what time each thing happened. Is there like a detailed view to each one of these things? Do we want to make that? So these would all be questions we would be asking ourselves when we're building this.
Okay. Now, we can make this text bigger, but I feel like 10 should be our max.
Okay.
And then we're going to just bring it down. Now, we're just doing this for testing purposes. Obviously, this is something that does for there. It looks like, though, and I don't want to update this to the master. Oh, I did it. Okay, great. Made them bigger. Okay. All right, so we've got all that there. We need to add this icon. Light bulb.
I have a thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to show how you would create a interactive prototype for like the navigation icons on the left. So like what happens when you tap that icon on the left and you go to that other area?
Oh, there's different ways that we could do that. How much time do we have? About 16
About
minutes.
16 minutes.
Let's do that. I want to show off 2 animations for that.
Awesome.
Okay, the other thing I want to show off is check this out. All of our hard work is here in there. And the cool thing is now I do notice that this right here, we didn't make it a component. So that's why it didn't change all the stuff that we did.
Okay.
So that's super easy to fix because...
So we can retrofit that?
Yeah, because it goes automatically in the place that it was on the
perfect.
board.
So you just focus on the artboard paste?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, focus on the artboard paste. And then we'll go back and bring this to the top. Bring that here. Perfect. Make sure it's there. Okay. Great. So if we were going to set that up, so we got light bulbs here. I think we have enough dummy data to kind of show off here.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a few different states.
I'm going to change this though. In most of my design, I like to add my kids' names. So there's that.
Yeah, there you go. Make it personal.
Yeah. So I want to put this to the end so it matches the same thing. And I'm probably going to want to, what's your stance on truncating? ...
I have no official stance. It really depends on how important the information is. If it's really important to see at glance rather than on a detailed view, then I would say then line wrap and show it all.
Yeah.
It's on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because you have both sides. You have the designer and you're coding it, right?
Right, totally. So I know how to pull it off.
So you know how to do that. What's the easiest with the code?
The easiest way to code truncation?
No. Like when.
Oh, so it's easiest. Sort of, I code for the web.
Yeah.
So the easiest way is the default nature of web, which is no truncation and that lines just wrap.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got that there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change over to prototype mode. Now you can select it here or you can hold down Control Tab and it automatically turns it on for us. So we're gonna wanna go into the icon, okay, and we're gonna wanna change. Now one of the things I didn't do is I didn't turn this other piece into a component. So I'm gonna actually go back and I'm gonna grab the whole nav bar.
Okay.
All of this. I'm gonna copy it. I'm going to make it into a component, and then I'm gonna get rid of this.
And what's that key combo?
The key combo is Command K, and that's going to turn it into a component, and then copy and paste is Command. Or if you're on a Windows, it's Control.
Okay, got it. Command K to create a component.
Yep. So you'll create that component, and then down here, you're gonna go in and you're gonna have, we always have to change these, right? Because you have different states. So let's change. Let me just make sure I'm selected on it. So I'm gonna hit Command Y, which is gonna show me my layers panel. And I can change these actually from here. So we've got that. And you can see actually, Stark actually just came out with something. If you do the side panel, it shows in the side panel also for certain things. So. But we're gonna change here and we're gonna look at that. Okay, so I'm selected on it. I'm going to bring it in. Okay, 32. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my panel and I'm gonna delete my other one. Home automation, there we go. Actually, I'm gonna leave it for an animation purpose. I'm gonna have it be right on top of it. Okay, so we're gonna go back now that that's set. So there's two ways to do it. Now I'm going to obviously do a tap. And there's different ones. There's tap, drag, voice, and then keypad.
Is the default just a tap?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sensible.
Transition does a simple transition, and I'll show that off right now. So if we were to just do transition, we're gonna go into this, okay? And then from here, we're gonna just click, oh, I'm in that one. Sorry, I actually changed it to the wrong one. So we're gonna delete that. It's this icon.
This one that we,
right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna click on that. Now when I selected that one, it's gonna take me that. But see this home icon here? When you select that, that means that anytime you open the app, it will go to this one
So it's
first.
the starting point for the prototype.
That's correct. And typically...
And you could just, I would imagine, drag that home to whatever you feel is the initial one?
It shows up automatically as a tab right here. So if I could click it on here...
Oh, and you just click it, okay.
But for the sake of us skipping all of this part, I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna do this. So now that I have that, I'd click on it. So that's just a transition, right?
So like a simple fade?
Simple fade.
Simple fade, got it.
Simple fade. But if I wanted to do something here, I want to do auto animate.
Oh yeah, that's where the magic is right there.
Correct.
I heard these words.
There are different ones. There's ease out, ease in, snap, wind up, bounce. I don't really use bounce often. Don't really use it.
Bounce on the web too. It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
You gotta be doing something wild to get that.
So we're gonna do ease in and out, just because. And one of the things we need to do is obviously turn this down. Oops. Oh, where's my other icon at? Oh, I didn't add it. I gotta put my other home. I thought I had my other home icon back there. Which, by the way, this icon here, superb. I love this one right here.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's one of my favorites, actually.
Thanks, man. I'll sell it to you after.
Oh.
I mean, you can have it.
Someone wanted, I just saw in chat about 15 minutes ago, someone wants us to make a t-shirt from the logo we made.
You never know. You never know what people will love.
We are in San Francisco, and rent is expensive, so we maybe have to be hawking some shirts on the streets. I'm
That's
just
right.
saying.
You never know. I mean, that's a message for everyone. With my art, I've taken stuff and just thrown it out there, and you never know what people actually like. Just put it out there.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you have a really nice hat that says "Internet" on the back, right?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
I think that's your top seller.
It's close. It's close.
Okay, so I need to grab this.
All right. And for those icons, I designed like a sort of like a line-based stroke icon, and then for accessibility, if people cannot tell the color shift because of their sort of because of eye issues, eye disability, it'll help it be more accessible because the shift between the line and then to the solid has a more dramatic shift.
This is why I love components like that. I did that in the master, I'm done. I don't have to go and fix all the other ones. So now we're gonna go back here. Okay, so automatically what's gonna happen is if I'm on this, I'm gonna select this, and it gives you an indicator, right? Mm-hmm. Just like that.
Ooh, that's rad.
Yeah, because you set the icons up with the colors, all I did was change the opacity on them and just turn off the one that was in front of it.
Nice.
That's it. So that way on that there, it would just, or you could put it behind it, you could do different things, and auto animate will actually just detect it and be like, oh, okay, cool, if this is back here or certain things.
So rad.
What
So
gets
rad.
tricky is when you're doing certain things like this one. Now you created that, you got about 7 minutes, so let's jump into this one. This is gonna be a little trickier.
Let's show some sexy stuff.
Yeah,
Why don't you flex it a bit?
So, oh, the wrong flex, sorry. So we've got this here, okay, and I'm gonna mess around with this. Okay, you know what I want to do? I want to do a effect here. So we'll make this bigger. Let's stay with our grid. So we'll go 132 by 132. Matter of fact, actually, 160 too big? No, I like that. I like 160 and it stays with our grid. Okay, so one of the things we're gonna do is I want to have this transition to this, okay? So I'm actually going to take this right here. Here, I'm gonna pull this over here. Okay, I'm gonna take this that you just made for me.
Okay. Oh, it's loading in, all right.
Yeah. I know we're not gonna mess with this gradient ever again, in the sake of our test here. We're not gonna do this for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna disconnect it.
So you're essentially breaking the connection to
it.
the library.
I broke it, yeah. It's still there, but for this piece I've broken it.
Right.
Okay. And then I know that for a fact that I made this. Oops, I thought I was holding shift. I know that I want this at 160 by 160, so that's good there. Perfect. So, oops.
Hey, thanks, Val. Yeah, if you're talking about the internet hat, so it's derivative. I've done a lot of sort of riffs. It was actually derivative if y'all look up Apple 80s fashion. Apple company, you know, our Macs, they decided sometime in the 80s that they were just gonna kind of step into fashion, and they had some really rad designs, very, very 80s, and I loved it. It was in Apple Garamond, and for a typeface. And so I kind of riffed off that. Of course, I'm not just gonna do Apple because that would be a copyright thing. So came up with it that way. Had a lot of fun with it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do this here. Okay, so I need to make this a mask, because what I'm gonna do is I want it to explode, okay? But I need to make sure that
that shape is going to be, it's a mask for the gradient background, okay?
Correct. Now the only thing is you notice here, what's going on? The colors aren't the same, right? So if you want this to explode correctly, what you're gonna need to do is you need to gotta come into here and you gotta make this smaller to match the colors that are there. Okay, and I feel like we can do pretty good with that. Let's go a little bit more. Okay, so So we're gonna work with kind of that right there, right? And we're gonna put this behind it so you can't see it. And we're gonna trick it, okay? So I need to obviously take all of this stuff, this one right here, and I need to bring it to here.
Okay.
Okay, and in this one, what I'm gonna do, and I have to make sure that names are right. So mask group 1.
This is how auto
Mask
animate
group
works,
1,
right?
yes. Now you can name these whatever you want. If I wanted to name them something different, I could. So, so basically from here, and this is the advanced stuff. So here, this top part, this ellipse 31 or 131, that's going to be your. That's going to be your
That's
mask.
the mask, right?
That's
the mask is revealing more of the item that it's masking.
Correct. So we need to make sure it's bigger. We need to make sure it's in the middle.
Right.
So we've got it in the middle there. And we need to make sure this is the right size.
Got it.
Okay, so we've got to there. So I'm gonna transition this to expand out.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to go to this. Okay, go into here. But we need it to be timed. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a
Right, because this is launch screen. This is all the Twitter launch screens, something like that, where it's not a tap, it just
Correct.
happens.
And we can get fancier and fancier with it, but basically, we're gonna try it, test it, and see what it does.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I know.
Very subtle, though.
Yeah.
Extremely
Let's see
subtle.
if it works. Let's see if the span works. I may have messed up. I think I did something wrong.
Okay. Time 2 seconds.
Let's go half a second.
Okay. And then auto animate.
Should work. Did I name them wrong? See, this is one of the advanced ones, and even I can't do it. 131. To log in. There it goes. I fixed it.
Oh, okay. How did you fix it?
I had to make sure that the names were the same.
Oh, okay. So you can Oh, rad.
Yeah. Now it's above it, right? So we need to obviously make sure that it's behind it. And I think we might have another rectangle here. Yep, there we go. Make sure our text is right. Make sure our button is correct, right? We want to make sure that that's there.
Oh, right, okay. Kind of coloring it for this
that,
background.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. And then I'm not happy with that, so I'm gonna go back more. Now this button is actually really weird, and I want to know why. Ah, that's why.
Oh, it's partially faded,
It's
right?
partially faded because it's inactive. We
You
don't
and
want
you
them to
used
click it.
opacity as a way of fading it out. Yep.
Yep. So what I'll probably do is rather than 30% on a dark, let's go 50. At least that way we can see the button for say. Or do you feel like that's still looks clickable?
I think it still looks clickable. Yeah.
So we don't want it to be clickable though. We want to make sure to show it's deactive. So
Right.
30, back to 30.
Yeah, sure.
I like that.
It works.
Okay, so we'll do that again.
Dude, that's awesome.
So you'll play with it a little bit and kind
Right.
of have your timing there, but that's kind of, and you can make it, if it feels like, one thing I like to do with animation, we talked about this yesterday, if you're gonna do animation, play it 150 times. Because then you can say, okay, the user, if this is doing tons of times, and the user is, so you can actually select it, okay, by either selecting this or selecting it this way. And then seeing on the panel here, it says what it is. So I'm gonna change this to a 0.1 second. I like that a little better. It feels maybe a 1.5, 2, at
Right,
least you're
feels
getting
snappy.
the effect. Right,
Right.
but you're getting the snap. You can also make the circle bigger so it feels like it's flying larger. But you kind of have that same concept there for that. But that's animation. And we're out of time.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. So we're about to get into it, and let's do some portfolio reviews. We'll be right back. It looks so snazzy in this. Did you check to see if we could breathe?
I'm not sure I can breathe.
Can you hear me?
And all the portfolios are gonna look blue.
Yeah. What if we just like, I don't know. This smells like, mine smells a little bit like relish.
It's got a real sexy smoldering look in this thing.
I like it.
It's really doing good things for me.
It's really doing some good things for me. Okay, so we've got two of them here. We've got Lucas. Oh, I can actually get this thing. You can wear that thing.
I'm keeping it on. It feels right.
Yeah, it feels right.
I'm embracing the theme.
All right, so let's go full screen here. This is nice. Lucas, very, very nice. Okay, Dario says cute.
On first glance, just sort of like just initial impact, I feel like this dude knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's a good designer. Yeah?
Yeah, I can't understand, but it's, from what I'm making out, is it does say here, I believe he's 23 years old.
Yeah, that's unfair, first of all, that you're this good at 23.
Yeah.
But, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah, so let's jump in. Okay. I really like that pattern. I immediately started to scroll down and saw this pattern and didn't want to look at anything else. So I like that the fact that he's doing certain elements here. That's my favorite thing right now, is adding a little subtle element.
Right.
That allows you to
I can't do it anymore.
I thought you were gonna put the hat over it.
I can't do it
I thought the hat was gonna go
I'm
above it.
dying in here. Right.
Voodoo thought you were gonna keep it on forever. She's like,
I
just
tried.
lied for reals.
Val, I tried.
Oh, look at this! Look at this icon. Whoa.
Right. Well, he did a much better job than I did.
He spent a little bit more time on it.
Fantastic. I like how with your icons, the same spirit is sort of
Dashing
throughout,
out.
right? That little cut lines here and there,
Yeah.
it brings the system together. The
Yeah.
line weights seem the same, which is great.
Yes. So he's kind of talked about a couple of things. Here's a primary logo. No, I cannot speak this language, but I think I'm doing pretty good with this. So there's the primary logo. Here's just the symbol. And then we have, that's the word I was looking for, not the logo mark, it's the logo symbol.
Yep.
That's what I was looking for.
I think both are used.
Vertical, if we do vertical, and then what it would look like horizontally. I feel I would love to see this in its realm and experience, to see what they use. And
Right, see what the application is like.
I bet you would probably lean more towards this one, and this one over time would go away.
The only problem I see with both of the bottom ones is that, so especially with the horizontal one, in its environment, let's say it's in a mobile app, because it really matters where it's going to be used. I have a feeling that your sort of little up-down arrows would be illegible. Like I would have to squint, and I'm not sure I would make them out. The other thing is maybe you would make that a little bit larger than the actual text itself.
Right. Right.
But once again, really depends on its application.
Yeah.
That might be a suggestion to try out, but not necessarily gospel truth.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally. I will also tell you that the kerning on that logo type, I'd probably bring it just a little bit more. You're kind of getting out that point where it's floating away. Mm-hmm. And sometimes eye-wise, when you're looking at it from a while, can make it feel like it's too far apart.
Yeah, and I'll just probably say I'm not sure on that one. I read it just fine. Yeah, maybe if that's a concern, like get it in front of some other eyes.
Yeah.
See if that's the case. For me, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we're reviewing not only just the work, but also how they put on their portfolio.
That's how they present it.
This right here.
Can we zoom out just a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to get a.
So he does do the core, and he does this, but I would recommend putting some, you did it here, but somebody who's just looking at that may be like, oh, well, as a designer, I know what that is. But as someone who is looking that may not know what this number is, and because you have other items around here, they may think that that's
a
part
good point.
of the...
Right, your decorative elements are sort of crashing into your sort of communicative elements. And so now we're not sure what is what. Also, I believe that that's a white box, but I can't see a white box, so you might want to put a...
This one right here, right?
Right, it just looks like we forgot a box. But I think it's there because it's so faint, so you might end up putting some shadowing or a border or something to be able to make people know that that's the color.
Yeah.
And maybe a place where the colors can sort of play together and be next to each other so you know how it works. Yeah, honestly, the decorative... What speaks louder to me about this is sort of how you've implemented this into the patterning. Like, that's gorgeous.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of... Now, so this is my preference. I usually try to stick... When I'm building any type of portfolio out or a case study out, I try my best to keep colors of brand elements out of that section. So it's a straight white because I want the focus to be directly on that color. And if I was doing a design system where someone's trying to go and get those things for an informational, not necessarily just looking at it, but informational pull data off of it, then I would also do that same thing. So that's my suggestion.
I really agree with that. Maybe a good idea, like keep the message, the main thing, the main thing. Yeah. Maybe a good idea would be to take that patterning, move it out and say like, the brand in motion or brand applications or brand application examples, and then you can bring all those patterns in showing off what this brand does with those colors.
I agree. Is that the end?
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah, overall, oh, well, no, it's not. Nope, we're on to the next.
I get it now. Okay, it was because it was pictures, because we were in. Okay.
Okay.
That's the way it's set up. Okay, so, okay, good, awesome. I like this. Probably make this, I personally would make this bigger, just so I know that I would catch that, or maybe even add a larger font text or typography here, so that people who are not designers would know, oh, okay, this is what they're
I think a label would really do it justice, like
good.
Typography.
Yep.
This, that, colors.
And he did it here.
Okay.
But...
So maybe on Museo Sans, just make sure you have a typography.
Yep. So he's done it in other places, but yeah, I agree. I would make this as a secondary, and the title label I'd put above that.
Yep.
Very well here. I love that the elements are built
in. This is some hot. This is some hotness.
Yes.
This actually, the patterning works for me because they're physical, real-world objects, so I know what is what. Correct.
Yeah, and it works great here. He used it in social too, so he's showing
like examples in social media posting.
Very good, which is good because if this person's a freelancer, he can show this off and say, hey, look, these are the applications that we used for the brand to bring it to life. Because a logo is just a logo unless it's in motion.
All right. This is great.
Put that on a shirt, Val.
With Clippy, Clippy on it.
Yeah, Clippy is just a clip unless she's in motion.
We'll get there. I feel like we're not there yet, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So does this? Oh, a website.
This is a website. Yeah. All right. So it looks like he's kind of broken it up. So I'm assuming that this is going to be his menu, and he's done a mega menu. Okay. And then this is going to be his hero or header, and then it looks like this is a blog post. Yep. Looks like that's probably either a blog post.
Some of the imagery in this website. Now I don't know. I can't understand the Portuguese, so I'm not exactly sure what this is talking about. But some of the imagery seems like it's different, like it's from another world. Is it just placeholder images? Is it not? I don't know. I can accurately like critique that. Overall presentation looks really, really nice though.
Yeah, totally. I would admit, if this was a portfolio site or whatever it may be, just make sure that you're having pictures that the user sits there and has to scratch their head and say, well, why is there a pineapple with a string on it? Which I know it's trying to be a balloon, but does it really tell my story? So, because I know some agency sites, they try to go above and beyond and create all these things, but sometimes you'll notice 3 months later they're changing things out because it didn't work. And that's okay. It's not that it's a bad thing. Oh, look at this. So I see here some of the elements are these confetti, the circles. I like the plus signs. Really like the plus sign.
Some of the, I'm getting two separate vibes. If you scroll up a little bit with this little sort of like confetti-ish thing, like the confetti to me speaks to like fun and like woohoo and having a great time and a little bit whimsical and a little bit silly.
Yeah.
But the other topographical ones, they have sort of a more badass, serious tone. Like, like I feel like I'm at NorthFace.com and I'm gonna go scale K2.
Yeah, true. It's like a mapping line aspect. Yeah, because we've seen
So it feels like
that.
those moods are different for me. So if I were to just look at this, I would just say scrap those squigglies. They're awesome. They're cute. They're beautiful. I don't know if they're feeling like they fit the mood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome work though. Like really great work.
Or maybe not so much, right? You could probably do like maybe these lines right here every so often, randomly, but not. You're right. Not at the.
Yeah, I feel like if there's like a one-off, like it's the one thing that seems different than everything else. You've got plenty of little pluses and dots and this and that. Like I feel like that's communicating.
Yeah, it does seem like he kind of overdid. I would probably also take this one out because it's clashing with this.
Then maybe less is more a little bit. Yeah, that's a good call.
All right. Okay, let's jump into another one of his. Which one do you want to do?
Do we have any other portfolios to review?
We do, yeah. So we'll go through this one and we've got one more.
Okay, so we go through the full portfolio?
Yeah, we'll go through a couple of the pieces that we like and then we'll jump to the next one.
Okay, great.
Looks like he's a brand designer. Director of art. So.
It's feeling like that for sure.
Okay, so let's go social media pack. This is probably, looks like it's one that's older.
One thing that's obvious is like you're real good with those patterns and decorative elements.
Correct.
Because this looks hot.
Yeah, yeah. The whole line thing, he's really good at. Really good at. Let's see here. Ooh, I like these. I like this, how he took that in here. So some of the things that I would critique about not the actual portfolio project itself, but this image, some of these logo brands, or not some of, but the logo brands within these images that he's selected, you can barely see them. And that, to me, is the prime purpose, because when people are swiping up on social media, you can't really see. Let me zoom in to see. Oh,
Yeah, is that the full view? Are we looking at full view?
yeah, full view.
Yeah, like if it's there for a reason, then it's there for a reason.
He did Photoshop, obviously. I think he cleaned this all up to kind of show this off, and then he put it behind it. But I would try and pick a little more, because there's if you're on that phone, it may be that you can't see that logo. That would be my critique on the pictures.
Yeah, it seems to be the style of what he's going for, though. You see it over and over. It's sort of a lot, that brand mark is blended. It's behind things.
True.
It's obfuscated by things, and I think that's very intentional.
Yeah. Oh, and he's got the logo up here, so I think he's actually good. Never mind. Okay, so he's got this real ones. Okay. Oh, he's got a little bit of that gradient. Very nice.
Yeah, there's one thing that you do well, which is just this idea of constantly bringing in like real life things and then putting flat text or gradient text behind it, the digital and the real life interacting, and you do it well. I really, really like it.
He does Photoshop pretty good, doesn't he?
Yeah, you do.
All right, so here's another one here. He's got, I'm curious to know if he designed this.
I am too, because as a character artist, that's super cute.
pretty legit,
I really love it.
I love the lines in his beard.
He's cool. He's a cool Santa.
Oh, look at that. He, instead of making it straight, he cut it back. He rounded it. I'm curious to know if that's a rounded edge on a, did it on a square.
All in all, some really like unique, interesting design choices here.
Yeah.
Like an interesting good.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed. Oh, very nice. Very, very nice.
Those are all great, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so we've got, let's look at one more of his, and then we'll jump to the other one. Which one of these do you want? You want the no arm man?
Oh yeah, I was drawn to the bust.
No.
That's what they call it, a bust. The top of a human body.
Okay, so we've got this logo here. Ooh. You know
I
what?
like that.
I am a huge fan of gold colors in logo.
Yeah.
I saw once that the Hutzpah sisters. They did a logo with gold in it
Oh.
on one of the
If
lives.
you've seen Jay Fletcher's work, just
another
gold
good
on
one.
gold on gold.
Another good one.
My friend Melissa Yeager's work, just gold
Yeah.
city.
Yep.
Yep,
Oh, he did a
this
purple.
works. This
Right? Is that a
works.
purple am I seeing? Yep. He did a purple. I like it. So, oh, and he's dealing with Pantones now.
That
Very
must
nice.
be for a print. So this one's for a print media of some kind.
Yep. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, that's
He's got
cool.
a pattern on the back. He's got that. Very nice. Very, very nice.
Those real world objects coming in on this. Now that I'm this far in, and I'm wondering, like, is the sort of texture in the background, is that thematic for your site, or is that supposed to be thematic for this project? And I'm just wondering if it's like the best idea to put this in everything, like sort of that texturing, that line work.
Yeah, I mean, but kind of like with you have a certain style in the way
Yep.
you draw.
Totally.
Maybe that's probably what he's trying to do. But I do agree that it could be a little bit more subtle. I'm also curious if he's in chat. What did you make these? Print them out and Photoshop them? Because it looks like they are actually Photoshopped on there. Because
Does
if
it?
so, pretty
Man,
well.
I got fooled.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I had to look pretty close, but I think it's actually Photoshopped on there.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like the real thing to me.
Yes.
And they absolutely show like your vision, your ability to like carry out sort of your ideas into
Yeah.
other mediums,
Yeah.
which is a hard thing to do.
Yep. Now, here's another thing I thought about when you were saying that. The one thing that I would suggest with the lines and so on and so forth of that, I would probably remove that from other brands, because if you're an art director for, say, which it looks like he is, he works for an agency or he's freelancing, don't show the same brand identity because it shows you as a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Yep.
So you need to make sure that you can tell a story for several different brands and make them look different.
Yep.
So that would be my only advice there. So let's
I would agree with that.
jump back here. Okay, here's our next one.
Oh, right. We had you in the chat.
Yes, and
Awesome.
he's a student. So I'm excited to see his work. I love looking at the younger ones because then you can see like, oh, okay, there's progression. There's progression. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we're gonna start down here because this is some of his older stuff. Okay, some of their old stuff. So, okay. I want a little more context.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I want to see the back of the card. I want
Right.
to see. I mean, it certainly looks nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the back of the card. I'd like to see.
And the look, I want to see the brand.
Yeah. So you want a better built-out case study.
Yeah.
Not just the visuals, and then you're out.
For sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dario quoted you, by the way. in
Oh,
chat.
yeah?
Yeah, he says,
What we got, bud?
look what he said. He said, it's 2019.
Overheard.
Yes. All right, so, ooh, he knows how to do logos for, that's pretty good. I don't know how to do this.
This looks like it could be some custom type for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you ought to get in there, and this is a logo for a spray paint company, right, or art supply. It'd be cool if you went above and beyond and created a typeface for this. I would love to see that.
That'd be above and beyond. One bit of advice that I got from a designer years ago, and I didn't quite when I was a young designer, when you create a logo and you create this custom type, you don't need to put the effects on it. So you've got this shadowing, like that's aesthetic sort of cover over, all these shines and this and that. What I would do is present the brand in its sort of most pure form, and that is just the lettering in different colors and in their brand colors. As far as shadows, as far as shines and all that stuff goes, I wouldn't present that at first because that's more like an application. Like this is how it's used here, this is how it's used there. The best brands don't necessarily need all these effects to make them good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree. As long as it's telling the story, and it looks like he's done obviously he's trying to jump into, for newsletter modal, is going to be a UX UI type thing rather than brand. So it looks like it's basically him. Okay, so he's got icon. Oh, look at this. I know you have feedback on this, so let's give it to him so that way there is the ability to fix. So some of the things here is, it looks like I don't know if they probably cut it out, right? Because it's hard to tell right there. And if you made that icon really small,
Right, you make that thing small, and
you're not going to see that.
it's not going to be seen, right?
So I would give it more space, and I would actually give it a stroke, right? That's what you recommend, right? Giving it a stroke rather than stroke of white or a cutout. What would you do in that sense?
I would just widen that gap a bit more, probably be white. One thing that I can see here, once again, it's probably a tendency, but adding all these effects, adding all these colors, gradients, this and that, these are the ways that we apply, like the brand is applied. For instance, the Apple logo, very pure, very awesome, and it's used in lots of different contexts. At sometimes, remember, they had like all these purple gradients and stuff behind it, but remember, it was also metallic. These were ways that it had application.
Yeah.
When I see these, I think, don't put the gradient on them unless that's part of the system, and if it is, communicate that out. As far as from an illustration perspective, I would say we have some angle issues. What I would do is that they all need to be from the same perspective. So if the boot's coming this way, the four-wheeler should be coming this way, the canoe should be coming this way.
The mountains.
But it doesn't seem that way. Like the camera seems to be pointed down a bit more, whereas the mountains are a straight-on perspective. And so that's creating inconsistency for me. And I feel like it's very similar to icons. Like icons,
Right.
you're like, you find your perspective and then you lock into it.
Right.
So with these spot illustrations, I would figure what that perspective is and then lock into it.
Yes, and on that note, that just remember, hieroglyphs have been around for many, 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 many thousands of years, and that's what icons turn into. So as long as you can tell a story and you have a pattern or a system to it, I think that works.
Yeah.
So we are, let's go one more with him, and then we're gonna wrap things up. And I know that you've been wanting to go to use the restroom, right? Or are you doing okay? You doing okay?
I'm actually solid. I'm doing
my
great.
goodness.
I'm doing great.
I'm not. So yeah. So I'm gonna get to. So on this one, I wanted to point out, I like the process here. I know you're trying to create a web design. Some of the things I would suggest doing is adding more. You said web design for an app, but you're only giving the hero. And you want to tell more story, and I know a lot of young designers say, well, I didn't have time, but you need to make time for it, because if you're trying to get a job or you're trying to get a freelance position, a contract, you need to show people that you can, show those employers that you can execute. That's the biggest thing.
And some advice that I got too is better to show a few well-manicured pieces than a lot of sort of like not as attended to pieces, like
Yes.
pieces that weren't as well thought out. So are we out of time?
We are running out of time. So just really quick, so we can do a little bit of a recap. We were able to go through and we created a bunch of icons. We created an app, showed you animation, showed you how to animate, so that way you can communicate better with your UX designer. We had a lot of dad jokes. And just so everyone knows, we'll put these into Creative Cloud. We'll share them out after I finish with my design. But we appreciate everybody coming out for the 2 days. We're excited for that. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Daily Creative Challenge with Peter, and he'll be able to show you that daily challenge. And it's the last one for that too, so we're wrapping up the week pretty quick. We appreciate you guys' time. Take care.
Thanks so much.